Hey, Jim Roman here. Welcome to another episode of the Jim Roman Show, where we talk about how to build a better business to build a better life. Welcome. Today's topic is about being balanced. Are you off balanced in your life and in your business? Well, hopefully in this episode, in this new series, we can hopefully get you to be more balanced. For those of you that share a first time to our Jim Roman Show, typically how these goes, I pick a topic and speak for 10 to 20 minutes on that very topic. At any time you have a question or comment, please comment below. Today you're in for a special treat because we have two episodes in one. I have a lot to cover today because I really want you to build a better business, to build a better life. Always, if you like what we do, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And as always, follow me on social media. You can find me on Jim Roman Online across many of those platforms. As well as if you wanted the free resources that we have, to include our Start Here course, which is free micro to millions tools, please just comment below and I'll have my team get that to you. So let's jump into today's episode. In this series, we're going to be talking about creating a more balanced business. I want to start off what I mean by balanced, how balance came about, and then start to take a letter at a time at each series and each session. Today, we'll be talking about two of those letters in balance. So let's jump into it. So what is balance? What do I mean by balance? As business professionals, we have a lot to juggle. Juggle. We wear many hats. And so often we get out of whack. We stretch too thin. We just don't feel balanced. Very similar to a car. If you have a car or vehicle and you have 4 tires and any one of those tires go out of balance, what's your journey like? What is your trip like? Very bumpy. In some cases, you're going a little to the left or you're going to the right, and you're not getting where you need to go quickly, efficiently, and effectively. Well, guess what? Being in business, not being balanced could be the same experience. Now, what do I mean by balance? A lot of times when you hear speakers and trainers talking about being balanced, they always say 50-50. And I'm not talking 50-50. Maybe I'm talking 60%, 40%. 60% of your business is in order, and 40% of your life is in order, for a total of 100%. Maybe we're going to be talking about 55-45. But ultimately, it's that balancing act of life and in business that we're really trying to get to, so that you're in more control. You have a smoother journey, if you will. Now, how did balance come about? Well, many years ago, I was thinking, what causes business to succeed and what causes businesses to fail? So I took all the books off my bookshelves and I wrote down the table of contents. And I wrote down, this book says these 3 things help you be successful. These 6 things make you successful, ultimately coming up with 28 things. And I'm thinking 28 things, that is a lot to do. So then I noticed there was a pattern in those 28 things and ultimately came down to 8 things. And I created an acronym out called BALANCED. Balanced stands for block timing. The B, the first A is for acquiring clients. The L is for leadership. The second A is for automatic processes, numbers, clarity, employees, and delivery. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing that there's actually 8 elements to being successful in business. And I found in reading all of these books that I pulled from that there is a secret to success, and ultimately ended up creating an assessment around that where I measure how balanced your business is. I delivered this assessment to my mastermind, got it around with everyone else, and they looked at it and they go, wow, this is great. Now what do I do? And I mean, what do you mean, what do you do? You're doing it. You're in a mastermind. You've got coaching, right? And they said, no, essentially it came down to, what do you do first, second, and third? And I'll be honest with you, back then I didn't have a clue. I was just super excited that I came up with the concept balanced, had an acronym, and created an assessment. I didn't know what to do with it. So I went back to the drawing board and I committed myself to figure out what order would I do it if I wanted to go from micro to millions, whether that's trying to go to $250,000, $500,000, or $1 million or more while having a life. And eureka, we had a breakthrough. In fact, we've now taken over a dozen companies to $1 million or more while having a life. And I am super excited to be sharing that with you in these series. So where do you begin in the balance? Well, I don't know where you begin because I don't know what industry you're in. I don't know how long you've been around in business. I don't even know what your challenges are. So I can't honestly answer that question. But I'd be willing to do is sit down with you for a free coaching call and talk about what you're ultimately trying to accomplish, what's getting in the way of that, to see if we can help or refer you to somebody who can. But in this series, I'm just going to go from B to D, balance. I'm going to take 2 topics a week, share with you how those topics came about, and then give you some live examples that hopefully you can apply to your business. Is that fair? Great. So let's jump into it. So the first letter we're going to talk about is block timing. So the B in balance is block timing. How did that come about? Well, throughout the many books that I read and I reference in a lot of our series, you'll find that what you'll see in The Effective Executive by Jack Welch says that your most important asset is your time. 100% is your time. How you use it makes a huge, huge difference. Now, you've heard of time management. The time management is a myth. They have actually did studies on you cannot manage time, but you can manage yourself. See, so often we're multitasking, again, is a myth, but you're not really multitasking, you're switch tasking. You're doing the first task 10% of the time, this project 10% of the time, 10%, 10%. You're not getting anything 100% done. That's why you're ineffective. Well, bringing these resources together, like The Powerful Engagement by Jim Lohr, or 7-Minute Difference by Allison Lewis, or The 8th Habit by Stephen Covey, they've talked about several things that we uncover. Number one, the average person is effective in the course of a day 97% of the time, or excuse me, is effective 33% of the time out of a course of a day, 33%. So if you take an 8-hour day and truly be effective, according to statistics and studies, you're only really truly focused for 2 hours. That is insane. In Stephen Covey's book, 8th Habit, he says, if you have one goal, I would say one role or task that you need to do, the odds of you achieving that because you only have one thing is 97%. But if you have now 2 tasks, 2 goals, 2 roles you have to do, its statistic goes down to 64%. And then if you have 3 projects, 3 roles, 3 things you're trying to get done at the same time, the odds of you achieving it is less than 33% for any one of those tasks. And these things just blew my mind. And I was like, we got to do something about it. Ultimately, a bunch of coaches and I got together, we created the concept block time, where you block time to focus on one thing for a particular time, for at least a half an hour, if not longer, an hour. Because if you're focusing on one thing for length of time, the odds of you achieving, according to Stephen Covey, is 97%. And we have found that with our clients. So if it were me and I were you and I wanted to have a more balanced business, one of the first areas I would be thinking about is my time and blocking that time to get things done, or blocking that time to bring in business. In fact, I want to talk about today as a special session to this episode is there are 3 levels to block time. I like to say 101, 201, and 301. Why? 101, maybe you're just starting out. 201, you've been around for a while and you're having different capacity issues than a level 1. And then there's that level 3, 301, if you will, of block timing. And if it's okay with you, as a special episode today, I would love to talk about those in hopes to reaching more people with this concept. So I have some notes that I'm going to go over. So what's the first level of block timing? If it were me and I were you, I would make sure that I'd be doing. Number 1 is to make sure I'm bringing in business on a regular, consistent basis. In other words, I got to a point years ago that I couldn't wait for the day that I could stop bringing in business. And I found out that you never stop bringing in business, ever. And so if I'm just starting out trying to get to $250,000, or if I'm a realtor trying to get to my first house, my second house, or my third house, I'm a property manager trying to get to 10 doors to 20 doors, or a contractor trying to get more clients, I would make sure that I have blocked out in my calendar at least 25% of my time for bringing in business activities. I'll say that again. If it were me and I were you, I would block a minimum of 25% of my calendar around bringing in business activities. And I don't know that you have to even go any more than that in most cases, unless you're in charge of the sales team. And you're in charge of sales, as a different animal. But as business professional, 25%. And what I would be doing in that, my goal for bringing in business is be able to reach out as much as possible, connect with as many people as I can on a regular, consistent basis, and follow up. Most people fail to follow up on a regular, consistent basis. So if I was doing block timing, for me, I would do that. I'll give you an example. I was working with a life insurance agent many, many years ago, told him all of these statistics, and he shared with me his biggest challenges. By the end of the week, he didn't do as much prospecting as he possibly could do. And I assessed why. I asked him, his name was Lee, and I said, Lee, tell me more about your schedule. He says, well, I have paperwork in the insurance agency. I got training I got to do in the insurance agency. And by the time I get to Thursday or Friday, I have to prospect. I'm a little exhausted. And I said, Lee, if it were me and I were you, and I've coached many financial planners over the years, I might suggest that you block Mondays and Tuesdays for bringing in business activities, and then Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays for everything else. Reverse your order. And he goes, that's interesting. And I told him why, and I gave him examples of some people I've worked with in that particular industry and the results that we got. Ultimately, what he wanted to be able to do was be able to get his own office and afford it. Weeks later, I follow up with Lee. I happen to be in their offices, and I see him at his desk, and I said, hey, how's it going? He's going, it's going great. I got my own office, and I can afford it. I'm like, tell me more. What did you do? He goes, I did what you told me to do. And I don't remember what I told him. That was like 3 weeks ago. He said, I blocked my time, but I did something a little bit different. Instead of doing prospecting Mondays and Tuesdays, I blocked Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays to ensure I had enough momentum. And then I have all day Thursday and Friday to get the paperwork done. That brought joy to my heart that he took the principle and applied it. So I'm not sure if you need to block a whole day or 2 days or 3 days. Maybe you just need to block out in the mornings from 8 to 10 for prospecting perspectives. And then from lunchtime, maybe follow-up perspectives. And then in the afternoon, doing whatever you need to do to get the work done. That's just an example of what I would do if I were you trying to grow my company. Another example that I would be doing if I'm a bigger business, what I would be blocking my time to do is I would be blocking my time to mentor my people. Mentor my people. In other words, you need to bring a business, but now you got to get the work done. And how do you get your people to perform? Well, you need to sit down with them, mentor them. We call them monthly mentoring meetings. This idea came about, I was working with an IT company years ago, and he said to me, Jim, I just don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. And we've done all the block calendaring, all the time management, switch management done, and things like that, and just couldn't crack the code. And one day I was talking to one of my consultants, Kay Congdon, who's a strategic HR person, and we came to the conclusion that we need to get his people to perform, because if we can get his people to perform, he then would be able to have more time. And guess what? He took the time begrudgingly to block his time to do monthly mentoring meetings, and voila, the magic happened as people started to perform. He had more time. He was not being pulled into other issues that he shouldn't have to. He didn't have to deal with fires or problems like that, and he was able to take his business to the next level. So if you're a bigger business, a medium-sized business, if you're not doing monthly mentoring meetings and doing them effectively, they're not what you think they are, I would highly recommend that. And then the third area of blocking time, if it were me and I were you, is time to have a life. Time to have a life. In other words, you're first doing block timing for yourself. You're now doing block timing for your team. Now you need to do block timing for your life. Are you taking time away from your business? Several examples come to my mind on this one in particular. There was a gentleman out in Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. He was in our Double Your Revenue program, our 90-day fast track. And he did all the principles in doubling his business and growing his business. And one day he said to me, Jim, my business grew, but I don't know if I could give you credit for it. And I said to him, okay, Scott, tell me more. I'll bite. He goes, the only thing I did different in your whole course is I now take Wednesday mornings for myself, where I go to a local coffee shop to read the local paper and enjoy a cup of coffee. I'm away from my family, my kids, and I'm away from my employees and my company, and I'm taking time for myself. It's the only thing I changed, and my business has grown. Don't know if I can give you the credit. And I told him, Scott, I don't need the credit. That you have a better life and that your living life is good enough for me. Another example of that is a realtor I was working for years ago. A realtor hired me because her business was stuck. She wasn't growing like she did the year before. And she said, Jim, can you help? As always, I don't know. I offer a complimentary consultation, coaching session to find out. I asked her one question. I said to her, Ray, what did you do last year that you're not doing this year? And she said, no, it can't be that. Nothing. I said, can't be that. What was that? She says, well, I used to get my nails done, but that can't be it. I said, well, we won't know until we try. She says, well, I don't have time to do nails. I said, well, as your coach, I'm encouraging you to get your nails done. And it's not an option. So she headed out to get her nails done. Months later, her numbers went through the roof. I noticed them and I had to get up with her. And I said, Ray, what did you do differently? She says, well, I did what you told me to do. And I'm like, what was that? She said, take time for myself. And so I got my nails done. I get my nails done every single week now. But it isn't about getting the nails done, Jim. It's about getting my nails done. I can think about my business, or better yet, work on my business, not in my business. I realize when I'm getting my nails done, I can't take phone calls. I can't do texts. I can just sit there and think. And I realized I stopped thinking about my business and working on my business. I was too caught up in my business. See, if we don't take the time for ourselves to reflect, to rejuvenate, to live life, what's the use? What's the use? I do my best every quarter, every 90 days to do something for myself, whether that's going to Key West a couple of weeks ago, or going around the country, or just taking the weekend off to do jaunts to enjoy my life. See, block timing is important. And I like to say that block timing is the oxygen to our lives. If we don't take care of ourselves, how can we take care of other people? So if you would, take this time to comment below. What are you getting out of this topic? What is resonating with you? Is it blocking time for yourself, blocking time for your team, blocking time to live your life? Please comment below. Questions, whatever. I would love to know how we can serve you today. So let's move on to the next letter, imbalanced, the A. The first A is acquiring clients. Acquiring clients is an interesting concept. So I want to tell you a little bit about how important acquiring clients is on a regular, consistent basis. But I tell you a little story. Years ago, I was at a retreat. I'm coming back from the retreat. It's Sunday morning, drinking my 7-Eleven coffee. And I'm at a stoplight, and there is a pickup truck in front of me, a beautiful blue pickup truck. And had your typical contractor magnets, signs, if you will, on that truck. And I got to thinking, I had this voice from above say to me, I bet you that person, that business person, never stops bringing in business. And now I know that wasn't my thought. It had to be from a higher power. And I said, really, that person never stops bringing in business. And again, going back to my original statement, I got to a point in my life where I wish I didn't have to sell ever again, to now I can't wait to sell again because I look at it as serving. In other words, acquiring clients at 3 levels to acquiring clients. Number 1, bringing enough business to cover your bills. Bringing enough business to be able to afford a virtual assistant, support systems, or even an employee. And bring enough business that you can have other people do the sales for you to do what you want to do, or you can bring in the sales to hire people to do what you don't want to do. Now, there are many books on this very subject, but there's some that are near and dear to me. One of the first book is near and dear to me on acquiring clients is How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success by Frank Bettger. What I love so much about this book is it's not about selling, it's about getting people to buy from you. So often we have a problem with bringing in business because we look at it as selling, not serving. And that was the first mental shift I had to make, that I'm serving people by helping them with their businesses. And Frank talks about different approaches. The second thing he talks about in this book is about bringing value. You're not trying to sell a steak, you're trying to sell the sizzle. You want to sell the service, you want to sell the value of that service. The second book that I really, really love is Go for No. And Go for No is not what you think it was. When I first thought this book was about get someone to say no, it's about persistence. What I love about this book, it talks about Abraham Lincoln and how many rejections he got before becoming the president of the United States. And if he would have given up in any one of those states where someone said no to him, or he got stopped, he would not be the president that he was for us. It also talks about the inventor of the airbag. And you would agree, airbags in our vehicles save lives. Do you know it took 20 years for the inventor of the airbag to actually get it deployed into vehicles? If he would have given up halfway through that process, we would not have the safety that we have today. And then there's the other book that I really like, The 4 Kinds of Salespeople. For those bigger firms who have sales teams, or you're developing a salesperson, The 4 Kinds of Salespeople. I love this book because it talks about the 4 personalities of a salesperson, from the go-getter and charger to the inquisitive to the consultant to everything in between. And understanding what kind of salesperson you are makes a huge difference. Knowing what kind of salespeople that you have makes a huge difference. So what would I do to be able to create a more balanced business as it relates to acquiring clients? The number one thing, other than blocking time to bring in business, is finding the strategies that work for you to make it happen. Let me say that again. I don't know if you're an introvert, an extrovert, or like myself, an ambivert, which is a combination of the two. I need to find strategies and tactics to get in front of people that I am comfortable with, As an introvert, I can only be around people for a period of time until I need time to myself. As an extrovert, I can be around people for a certain period of time, and then I got to be by myself. And sometimes I need to be around people. Let me say that again, because I think I said that incorrectly. As an ambivert, sometimes I want to be around people, and sometimes I don't. When it comes to bringing a business, if I'm not comfortable with it, I don't do it. I don't love cold calling. I don't even like cold calling, so I don't do it. But some of us have to do it because we have to pay the bills. But I do love relationship-based marketing. Relationship marketing is a concept that I was first introduced in the book, World's Best Known Marketing Secret by Ivan Misner and Mike Macedonia. Phenomenal book. If you want to build a referral-based business, a word-of-mouth business, they give you an entire plan in this book. In fact, I would argue this is one of the reasons why I'm here today and why I never have to cold call again. The other thing I would talk about bringing in business is you would never stop bringing in business. I'll say that again. I said it before. Never stop bringing in business, even if you can't handle it. Now, that's a whole nother topic in and of itself. But a lot of times we want to stop selling to get the work done. And then when we're getting the work done, we don't have enough business to be able to pay for everything. There's a way around that. That's a whole nother talk. But when I first had that happen to me, I was running BNI franchises. I got to the point where I was getting 3 qualified referrals a day, literally 15 a week. And I was overwhelmed. And my first reaction was, I got to stop bringing the business. And that would have been detrimental to my business. So I went to my mentor, Lisa Raj, who I admire and so respect so many years later. She said to me, well, you're going to conference, maybe you can talk to somebody how to handle it. And I said, great idea. So I went to conference, I sat down with one of the top directors in the country, actually probably in the world, Jerry Schwartz. And Jerry said, find somebody to help you vet and handle your referrals. I did exactly that. And I went on to doubling my business, going into the BNI Hall of Fame, and making a 6-figure income because I cracked the code. I pushed through the pain I thought I had. If there's anything you're getting out of today in creating a more balanced business, as you practice these principles, you then start to go to the next level. Whether it's blocking your time for yourself, for your team, or for your life, I bet you any money you'll feel more balanced and you'll enjoy life more. Whether you're trying to acquire clients, whether you're trying to find your first client, you're figuring out the strategy tech that works for you, you're trying to bring in business and get the work done at the same time, so go back to block timing while bringing in business, or you're looking to develop other salespeople or professionals with different personalities and different approaches than yours. We want you to succeed. And hopefully these principles will help you to do that. So as I finish up today's episode, I encourage you to comment below, whether you're watching the recording or you're watching this live. Thank you so much for chiming in here. Thank you for all the comments below that we'll look at after this episode. But if you know anything about me, it's important that the people that I come in contact with have a more balanced business, because I believe, and I have experienced it, gives you a more balanced life. These are only 2 of the 8 principles. I hope you will join us next week when we'll talk about the next principles. We'll be talking about leadership and automatic processes and how that plays into whether you're a micro or $1 million company or anywhere in between. Again, I'm Jim Roman. Remember, the more we know, the more we grow. Thank you for being here. God bless, and I'll hopefully see you soon.